Hi there, my name is Alicia and I'm here to help you improve your Spanish skills. In this video, you're going to learn the most important nouns in the Spanish language. We'll begin with a short introduction. You will learn in this guide for English speakers the basic noun vocabulary in Spanish for the following topics: persons, family, basics, time, things, clothes, city, nature, body, home, food, and colors. I know it seems like a lot, and it is, but take your time. Don't worry, in this video I'm going to show you all the words, but you can pause it, you can watch it many times, whatever you like. Okay? You do not need to have prior knowledge of Spanish for this guide, but even if you do speak a little Spanish, the information can be useful. And you also have a list of vocabulary, exercises with answers, MP3, and other free materials to practice. In the video description here below, you will find a link to the blog, and there you find all the material that you need for free so you can practice the words that I'm going to show you right now. We begin with las personas, the persons in Spanish. Person in Spanish is la persona. And more generally, you can say human being, el ser humano. You have man, el hombre, and woman, la mujer. Boy, el niño, girl, la niña. Young person is, in Spanish, el joven, la joven. So, if it's a male, el joven. If it's a female, la joven. Then you have adult, and in Spanish, you're going to use el adulto, la adulta. And an elderly person, in Spanish, you say la persona mayor. And a student is el estudiante, la estudiante. Any kind of student, okay? In school and in university, doesn't matter. Teacher or professor, in Spanish, you say el profesor, la profesora. And policeman, policewoman, in Spanish, you say el policía, la policía. Okay, so you see el for the masculine, la for the feminine. Quite simple. Doctor, well, you can say doctor in Spanish, but in English you say doctor. And you have el médico, and if it's a male, and la médica if it's a female, doctor. All right? Lawyer, in English you just have one word. In Spanish we say el abogado, la abogada. Okay? Well, so here you have all the words that we just saw, and I'm not going to repeat them with you because I don't want the video to be too long. So let's move on to la familia, the family in Spanish. You have friend, and friend is el amigo, la amiga. Oh, el amigo, a male friend, la amiga, a female friend. But just a friend, okay? So you're not in a romantic relationship with el amigo, la amiga. You are when, well, you use el novio, la novia. And el novio is the boyfriend, la novia is the girlfriend, okay? And you can use la pareja to refer to your partner, a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. Okay, la pareja is the partner. And la pareja is also a couple. So la pareja is a very good word in Spanish. Okay. Then you have husband. In Spanish, el marido. You can also say el esposo. And wife, in Spanish, la mujer, la esposa. Both have the same meaning. And in Spanish, to say father, you have el padre. To say mother, you have la madre. To say son, you have el hijo. And to say daughter, you have la hija. Brother, el hermano. And sister, la hermana. So I believe you already know these words. They are very common, but, well, you are going to learn new things right now because, well, we were going to learn the words that you do need for your daily conversations, okay? So, básicos, the basics in Spanish. Life is la vida, and death is la muerte. Time and weather in Spanish is the same word for both concepts. You have el tiempo. El tiempo, time, el tiempo, weather. For world, you have in Spanish, el mundo. Country, in Spanish, el país. And region, la región. Place, generally speaking, el lugar, in Spanish. Problem, el problema. Idea, la idea. And then you have thing, which in Spanish you say la cosa. Beginning, in Spanish you say el principio, el comienzo. They are synonyms, you can use both. And end, you have also two words that mean the same thing. El fin, el final. Love, in Spanish, is el amor. Friendship is la amistad. Happiness is la felicidad. You have money, which is el dinero. Price is el precio. Salary, el salario, but you can also say el sueldo. Both of them have the same meaning. Work, you say el trabajo in Spanish. To say job, you would say el empleo. Free time, in Spanish, el tiempo libre. Hobby, la afición, el pasatiempo. Both words are used commonly in Spanish to refer to a hobby. Vacation, in Spanish you say las vacaciones. Okay, you see S is pointing out that this is plural. All right, because you do not have one day vacation, you have many days. Las vacaciones. It's always used in the plural. Trip, then you have el viaje. Party, la fiesta. Shopping, you say in Spanish, las compras. Gift, in Spanish, you say el regalo. Sport, el deporte. And game, in Spanish, you say el juego. Language, we're going to say la lengua, which is also tongue. If you mean a foreign language, in Spanish, you use el idioma. Word, in Spanish, la palabra. Meaning, el significado. Name, el nombre. Emotion, la emoción. Feeling, el sentimiento. Love is a feeling, okay? Un sentimiento. Then you have fear, el miedo. Danger, in Spanish you say el peligro. Light, in Spanish, la luz. And color, you say el color. Quite simple, right? Number, el número. Size, el tamaño. Weight, el peso. Cold, in Spanish, el frío. Heat, el calor. Bathroom, you say el baño. Okay, el baño is bathroom generally, but it's also referring to the restroom. Okay. Call is la llamada on the telephone. And a message, in Spanish, you say el mensaje. And these are all the words that are really important. You see, you use them every day when you speak in English, so you should know them also, well, in Spanish. Right, for that you have the material that, as I told you, you can download for free if you want to. El tiempo. Okay, let's talk about time. You have día, which is the day. Okay, if you're referring to, well, the day, the daylight time. Okay, and then you have afternoon, and this is la tarde in Spanish. Evening, night, well, you have just one word for both, and in Spanish, la noche. Minute, el minuto. hour, in Spanish you say la hora. And once again, I put it day, el día for you, because you can also, well, mean the 24-hour period, the day. Okay, so the same word in English and in Spanish too. And you also have week, which is la semana, weekend, el fin de semana, month, el mes, year, el año. And, well, you can repeat all these words if you want to. Now let's talk about things, cosas, things that we have, well, in our pockets and with us all the time. The mobile phone or cell phone, you say in Spanish, el teléfono móvil, el celular. So, móvil is in Spain, celular is in Latin America, but they have the same meaning. Charger, in Spanish, you say el cargador. Watch is el reloj. Glasses, las gafas. And the key, in Spanish, la llave. The wallet in Spanish is called la cartera. And a bag, a shopping bag, is la bolsa de la compra. And a handbag, el bolso. The suitcase in Spanish is called la maleta. The bill, if you're paying with money, with bills, then you have el billete de dinero. And you can also say to coin moneda, la moneda. If you are going to use the transport, well, you need a ticket. In Spanish, you say el billete de transporte. In Spain, okay, but in Latin America, it's more common to say el boleto. The same thing, the ticket, okay? El billete, el boleto. If you want to say ID in Spanish, el documento de identidad. And if you want to pay the check in the restaurant, to pay a bill, then you're going to say la cuenta. And in a store, you ask for the receipt, and the word is el ticket. And you can say el ticket de compra if you want to. And these are the words that we just saw. You see, everything is very practical, it's useful for your life. And, well, we do need clothes, so let's learn the vocabulary for la ropa. You have shirt, which is la camisa, and t-shirt, which is la camiseta. You have pants, and in Spanish we call them los pantalones. You can also use it in singular if you want, el pantalón, it's also possible. Sweater, in Spanish, el jersey. Jacket, you say la chaqueta. Skirt, you say in Spanish, la falda. Dress, in Spanish, el vestido. Shoes, in Spanish, los zapatos. And underwear, in Spanish, la ropa interior. And after having seen this, we learn the city. What are you going to find in a city? La ciudad. You have house, in Spanish, la casa. You have apartment, which is el apartamento. Quite simple. Building, it's called edificio in Spanish. And you have monument, which surprisingly is el monumento. And the center is el centro. Street, la calle. You have the avenue, in Spanish, la avenida. Square, in Spanish, la plaza. Traffic lights, in Spanish, el semáforo. Station, you say la estación. Airport, in Spanish, you say el aeropuerto. The port is el puerto. The church, la iglesia. The school, in Spanish, we call it la escuela. The bank, well, is el banco. The store, la tienda. Market, you say el mercado. Supermarket, you say el supermercado. Bakery, la panadería. Gas station in Spanish is la gasolinera. Hospital, you will be surprised, it's called el hospital. And pharmacy, also big surprise, la farmacia. All right. And then you have the park, also a big surprise, el parque. Bus, wow, an amazing surprise, el bus. You can also say el autobús if you want, but people tend to shorten it to bus. The subway is called el metro. The train in Spanish, el tren. The car, you can call it el coche, that's more common in Spain, but in Latin America you may hear el carro, el auto, it's also very common over there. The bike, in Spanish you say la bicicleta. And a map is el mapa. All right? Well, after all these words, well, some more words, of course. That's why I'm here. La naturaleza, the nature in Spanish. So you have sun, which is el sol. And the moon, la luna. Rain, you call it la lluvia in Spanish. Snow, la nieve. Wind, el viento. Mountain, in Spanish, you say la montaña. Tree, el árbol. Flower, la flor. River, in Spanish, el río. Lake, el lago. Sea, el mar. Beach, la playa. Sand, la arena. Animal, el animal. Dog, in Spanish, el perro. Cat, you say in Spanish, el gato. And after all these words, with the nature, you have el cuerpo, the body parts and related words. Health, in Spanish, you say la salud. And illness, you say la enfermedad. Pain, el dolor. Medicine, el medicamento. The head, in Spanish, la cabeza. And the hair, you say el pelo. You can also say el cabello. When you say el pelo, it can be only one hair. And if you say el cabello, it's always your full hair, okay, your mane. All right, but pelo is very normal. You do not need to say cabello if you don't want. People will understand pelo as the whole hair in your head. And then you have face. In Spanish, the word is cara. Or you can say also rostro. Rostro is a little more elegant. Then you have eye, el ojo. Nose, la nariz. Mouth, la boca. Tooth, el diente. Arm, el brazo. Hand, in Spanish you say la mano. The belly, in Spanish, la barriga. Leg, la pierna. And foot, el pie. The heart, in Spanish, is el corazón. And after the words about the body, you have home, in Spanish, el hogar. Door, in Spanish, la puerta. And the window, la ventana. The table, la mesa. And chair, in Spanish you say la silla. The sofa, the couch, in Spanish you say el sofá. And the bed is la cama. The toilet in Spanish, you have many words for it, strangely, but the most normal, I believe, would be el inodoro. Okay? Then you have sink, el lavabo, and the shower, la ducha in Spanish. The bathtub in Spanish you say la bañera. The kitchen, la cocina, and the room is la habitación. If you mean the bedroom, then you say el dormitorio. Habitación, dormitorio, they are synonyms, okay? But if you book a hotel room, you are booking una habitación. And, well, let's learn some new words, and food is always important. So, la comida, the food. You have food, generally, el alimento. And then you have a drink, a beverage, la bebida. Then you have a meal, which in Spanish is la comida. Okay, two. So comida is very general food, and also the 3 meals that we have in a day, la comida is each one of them. The breakfast is el desayuno, but lunch is also la comida. So comida is a word that has many meanings, and you can say la comida is what people normally say, but if you want to be really precise, you're going to say el almuerzo if you mean lunch at midday. And you have dinner, which is la cena in Spanish. Then you have salt, la sal, sugar, el azúcar. You have bread, el pan, and you also have water, agua. Okay? Meat, in Spanish, you say la carne. Vegetable, in Spanish, la verdura. And fruit, la fruta. If you are at a restaurant, you order the first course, in Spanish, el primer plato. You can also say el entrante. The main course in Spanish is el segundo plato, and also plato principal. Dessert, in Spanish, you say postre, el postre. And the plate is el plato. You have a cup, in Spanish, the name of it is la taza. With a glass, well, you have in Spanish el vaso, which is not a vase, okay? The wine glass is called la copa, so don't mix it with cup in English. And for the fork, the word in Spanish is el tenedor. The knife, el cuchillo. And the spoon, la cuchara. Okay? Well, after all these foods and related nouns, you have the colors in Spanish. And it's not complicated. Let's see it together. White is blanco. Black is negro. The color blue, in Spanish, you say azul. The color red, rojo. Yellow, in Spanish, is called amarillo. Green, you say verde. Orange, you say naranja. Pink, you say rosa. And brown, marrón. Gray, you're going to say gris. Okay, and here are the colors without the article, but the article would be el blanco, el negro, and so on. Okay, so, well, I know it was a lot for only a few minutes, but, well, as I promised, with these words, you will be able, well, to really start to identifying things around you, name them correctly. You have the activities at the end of the material that, as I told you, you can download for free. Just check the video description below. And you, if you want, you can leave a comment saying what you liked about the video, what you would like to know in Spanish, and I will try to attend your whatever you want to learn in Spanish. I'm happy to do so. And if you like the video, please like it and also subscribe to the channel so you can keep on learning Spanish very, very communicatively. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video and gracias. Ciao. Hi there, I just wanted to thank you for watching this video and to ask for a favor, because if you like this content, please like it, share it and write a comment, because when you do that, YouTube understands that this content is relevant and YouTube will show it to more people who want to learn languages. This way you help other people find me, and you also help me because I can afford to keep on creating free YouTube videos. So thank you for your support, and I wish you a lot of fun and success learning a new language.